So Matt, I just want to talk a little bit about people having boundaries, because if people are going to be a listener, I guess a concern people might have is, how do I make sure that I don't take on other people's problems? Do you have any suggestions around that?
Well, I do, and I'd be interested to share my thoughts and hear your reflections. But the first thing I would say is, if people are going to be a just listener, this fits with what you were talking about in social justice. So boundaries are really important so that we can remain present in that sort of dignified process of listening and justice. For me, boundaries are what systems and organisations often talk about to satisfy their own needs. So I think the dilemma in just listening is about something around saying, I really want to be in there with you, but I also want to know who I am. And Stephanie talked about this in the vertical voices and the idea that we're thinking things while people are talking. So one of the things we can do for boundaries is to know that we can still hear what we're thinking while somebody else is talking. We're there, we're present, we can hear what they're saying, but we're also just noticing what's coming up for us. I think that's really important in boundary setting. I also think that we shouldn't be too frightened about spending 10 minutes in a sacred, valuable space with someone. If someone sat down and invited you to listen, be present. And then when that time's finished, when that listening's finished, know what you're going to do afterwards. You're going to get up and have a walk around. You're going to get up and do some exercise. You're going to, at the end of a period of just listening, go and talk to a friend about what's come up for you, not about the other person, but what's come up for you. So that you're starting to create boundaries in yourself. And then the boundaries between you and the other can be much more available to be played with. I don't know what you hear when I say that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, as you were talking about, if we do have such strong boundaries, are we really allowing ourselves to connect with the other person?
Yeah.
And I guess there's a concept of emotional resonance versus identical resonance, which is identical resonance is when people feel like they have to experience or feel exactly what the other person is feeling to be able to relate to them, when in fact it's okay to have emotional resonance where you might not be able to completely identify with what a person's experience, but you can find similarities in your own human experience and be able to relate to that person.
Yeah, and I suppose that thank you for sharing, because that really brings up for me, takes me back to thinking about the fear people have about getting too involved. And I think what you said was that we can use some of our own experiences to connect to people without getting swallowed up or lost in another person's story, which, by the way, I don't think that happens. I think we're frightened of it happening. So actually what we can do is remember that, there's a really legitimate fear for me, but I'm going to draw on what I know, what my experiences are, to be present and just listen to this person. If we're just listening to someone, it's going to be hard to be swallowed up in their story. I think when we start to try and fix it, make it better, feel the responsibility of others, then I think we have more of a risk of losing our boundaries. So for me, just listening and boundaries is about, what am I here to do? I'm here to witness, to listen, to offer social justice in the narrative of this person. Good. Now I know my boundaries. Do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, just exactly what you've said about being able to be with someone and not be afraid to sit with someone. I think boundaries are, it's something that's important to discuss, but I don't think we should allow it to stop us from connecting to the person.